Hey everybody, it's Anna J. Walner with the Author Library, and today I have with me Doug Lawrence. Doug, would you like to introduce yourself?
I certainly can. So my name is Doug Lawrence. I live in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, and I am a retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer. Yeah, I know, a bit shocking, but I I've got probably 30 to 35 years of leadership and mentoring experience. So I was actually, what ended up happening was I retired from the RCMP, and while I was working in the private sector, I was job coaching high school or university students to help them get into the workforce. And the relationship kind of morphed itself from job coaching to one where I was actually mentoring. Didn't know that that's what I was doing, but that's what it was. And a bunch of them said, after referral, they kept saying, you need to do this for a living. We can't afford to pay you, but I'm sure somebody could. And so I started to do some research and continued to work in the private sector, back in government. And then in the fall of 2009, I got assigned. It ended up that my term in government ended. And as a result of that, I decided to dive full-time into mentoring. I did some research and found that there was a place for mentoring certification. And so I long story short, partnered with a company in the United States to actually create a mentor certification. So you went through some training, wrote an exam at the end, and then if you were successful, then you became a international certified mentor. And we've kind of, it's morphed itself as well, in that what's happened is that the mentoring community, a lot of the people that I was working with, that I trained, said, this certification is okay, but it needs to go beyond that. So it needs to become one that is based on competence rather than just on knowledge. And so I've partnered with Dr. Stephen Hobbs in Calgary, Alberta, and the two of us have put together a certification for mentors based on competence. And so through all of the mix of all of this stuff going on, what also ended up happening was a number of people came to me and said, you need to write a book. And I went, no, I don't need to write a book. They said, you need to write a book. Start writing. And I went, what am I going to do? And they said, tell your story. Your story is so powerful. You need to tell your story. So I ended up, long story short, was I wrote a book called The Gift of Mentoring. And it's sort of the kick in the pants that it got was from these individuals who, were for the most part my mentors, that said, you need to write this book. And so wrote the book and published it in 2014. And things, it's prompted me now to same sort of storyline. Is I've been told now you need to write another book. And so I'm in the process of I've actually had my manuscript go through structured editing and copyright editing, and we're working on a book cover and all those sorts of things. So yeah.
Wow, that is an amazing story behind the book. And now you have something that we can look forward to as a compendium. Is it just kind of pick up where the other book leaves off in your journey of mentoring, or does it focus more on a different aspect of mentoring?
I took a hard right or a left, doesn't matter, but I took a hard right or left. And this book, the second book, is going to be focused on mentoring and mental health.
Great.
So it's what the research that I've done, and I've gone through another certification process So I have my certificate of competence journey mentor, which is going to allow me to work in the mental health space. So it gives me a lot of the credentials, the tools I need in my mentoring toolkit to be able to do stuff in the mental health space. And I'm mentoring individuals right now that, you know, some that have got some mental health challenges like bipolar, and you know, the whole the the whole
Social
story.
anxiety for me.
Yeah. So, you know, you turn around, like the whole pandemic thing that happened to all of us has just lit a fire under the whole mental health situation. Every time I turn around, somebody is saying, I just don't know how I'm going to get through today. And so anyhow, long story, I could go on for hours. So, but what we've gone and done now is the book is going to sort of give people a deeper understanding of mentoring and mental health and how the two work. As mentoring, what I've been able to determine in my story is that mentoring can be part of the mental health support structure.
Oh.
And right, so it's just it's a natural fit. And I had a lot of fun writing The Gift of Mentoring, and, you know, kind of the feedback I got from some of that. This has just been absolutely just a dream to be able to do this, because I know that there's such a huge need out there for this type of, I don't want to call it a service, but for this type of interaction between a mentor who understands, you know, what's required, and somebody who is actually experiencing mental health. Here's the interesting part. In my time serving in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I too ended up with post-traumatic stress. So I'm in a place now where, you know, I understand what people are going through. I may not have experienced the same sort of trauma, but I understand what it's like to go through that. I understand what it's like to, I had a time period where I thought about suicide, and, you know, the not having the support structure, I realize now how important having that support structure, how important it really is.
It really, really is. And I think that mental health really is, as you said, it's been brought to the forefront of people's attention during this pandemic, because we all had to learn how to live a semi-reclusive life. And now we're being thrust back into what we had always been accustomed to. And I know that for myself, it's challenging to try and go about, even though I'm fully vaccinated and everything, to try and go about a semi-normal life. That anxiety level that I have rises significantly just going to the grocery store, because we've been conditioned to accept staying at home as, you know, our environment. So to get outside of that, you know, a lot of people are really having a difficult time readjusting to what was their norm.
Well, and what is the new norm going to
Right.
look like, right? You know,
Right.
and I think of, you know, because of homeschooling. So mom and dad are working from home because, you know, they can't. So mom and dad are busy trying to juggle who gets to use what room in the house and how they go about, you know, having phone
True.
calls and, you know, Zoom calls and all that with minimal background noise and all that stuff. And then just when you think that you've got that figured out, we're now going to throw, you got to homeschool 2 children at home on top of that. And when I talk to people, you know, how are things going and all of that, they're the anxiety, the depression, all of those things are just skyrocketing through, you know, through the roof. And they're looking, I don't know how I'm going to deal with all this. And it's a matter of getting them to kind of bring them down and talk to them and just let them know that there's somebody there to listen and hear, who's non-judgmental, but is there to listen and hear what it is that, you know, what are you experiencing? And let's maybe try and talk our way through that and all those sorts of things.
Very true. It's so, easy to just listen. The power of having someone who's sympathetic to what you're going through and just having them be able to talk openly with you does wonders for you for anyone. So I think psychology. I did study psychology along with business, and I found that it has benefited me in multiple different areas of my life, whether it's business, whether it's character development, whether it just everyday interactions with other individuals. I think that it's something that can be incorporated in a number of different ways, and for you to incorporate it into your mentoring program is fantastic.
Yeah, it's, I've had some conversations with organizations about, do you have mentoring as part of your offerings of what you bring to organizations? And the majority of them haven't even thought about mentoring as a way, and yet the people that are suffering from mental health illness challenges are the ones that are coming forward and saying, similar to what they did, with the gift of mentoring, you need to do this, you need to write the book, you need to be able to start, including in your mentoring practice, how you're going to help us be able to navigate through our healing journey. And, just to hear that and just to be able to say, okay, I've got to do this I've reached a stage, I can't not do it. That's the best way.
Yeah, and I know for yourself, there is there's a benefit for you offering those services and that help and the mentoring. I mean, it truly is a gift that you're giving to yourself as well. It makes you feel good to help other people along in their journey as well, to give back, give back. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that's what I think of when I look at your book, The Gift of Mentoring. It really is not only a gift to the person that you're mentoring, but it's a gift within yourself too, to do something, that is so altruistic and genuine with your time. It's amazing.
Well, we talk about the definition of mentoring has gone through a bit of a paradigm shift. And today, the definition that I go with is mentoring is a two-way trusted relationship where both the mentor and the mentee are going to learn and grow together on a personal and professional basis. So every single mentoring session that I have, I come away from that session after I've done my reflection, I come away from that session having learned something either about myself, or I may have learned something about somebody else, about the mentee, about their organization, all of those things. But like you said, just as importantly, I've learned something about myself.
Very true. No, I've experienced that myself. I'm 3 years sober, and so it's always a rewarding experience to help educate other people who may be struggling with alcohol, to try and motivate them to live a better. I can honestly say that being on this side of the disease is on this side of the alcohol is infinitely better. And I think whenever people see, how happy I am now versus how happy I wasn't, 10 years ago, it's motivational for them to want to have that same kind of happiness. But it feels good whenever you see someone tackle that and say, I don't want to live this life anymore because it's exhausting. And I'm, yes, you see the light behind someone's eyes whenever you say the exact words they need to hear. So I fully get it.
Yeah, I think, what is it for me now? It's probably been a year and a half, might even be a bit more, that I I made a decision not to drink anymore, and part of it's health related, but
Right.
part of it. But now I'm thinking every morning when I wake up and there's no fog, and I actually have the energy to want to get up and do something. I can plan my day and actually be successful in carrying out some of what's on my list. But the best part is that fog is gone. Like that, the inability to be able to think clearly that's gone. It's, you have such a clear vision and all that. So, and kudos to you for,
Thank you.
that's awesome. That's, don't let anyone ever take that away from you.
No, never again. It's the other side of it is so much more rewarding. As you said, I don't wake up every morning with that fog hanging over me. I am able to think clearer. All of the things that I've accomplished in the past several years have been because of my sobriety. Setting an example for my daughter. I have a 2-year-old. So at 39 years old, I have a 2-year-old. So so I need that stamina and that endurance and strength that I wouldn't have if I had stayed on the same course.
Yeah, good for you. Just that story by itself makes me really happy because what that does is that sends a message to everyone that's listening that you too can make a difference. And think of the difference that you're making on your 2-year-old. What a great role model to be able to have, somebody that doesn't wake up, feeling sick to their stomach all the time, or wake up in that fog and it's like, go away, let mommy sleep for a little longer. That's gone. That's you've kicked that one in the backside and got it out of your life for good. So kudos to you.
Yeah. And kudos to you for everything that you've achieved, and the book itself. Guys, if you're interested in mentoring, if you've ever considered how to give back, or what, go check out Doug's book and his website. You have a website, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And those will be in the description below, the links, and see what it's all about, how it really is a gift to both the mentor and the mentee. Am I saying that right? The mentee?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, that's good.
To get into this, how difficult is it to get into into the mentorship program, to becoming a mentor? I'm curious.
To become a mentor, we're doing it every day. We just don't realize it. Right. So it becomes a decision do you want to get into the practice of mentoring, where it becomes, for me, it's my full-time job. So, right, I do that. And then you get into asking yourself, okay, do I need to get training? And if I do, what does that look like? Where do I go to get it? All of those things. And so my typical answer to people is, it's the sort of thing, because you hold somebody's life in the palm of your hand, that you want to be able to guide them in a manner that's going to be the most beneficial for them. And so even if you get, a 2-hour workshop or a 4-hour workshop, or you decide I'm going to jump in the deep end and I want to go and get certified, then, there's some decisions, but you do need to get something, because that's what we always tell. If you implement a mentoring program and a workplace mentoring program, part of the package should be training of some sort, right? So that's the big thing. Is it difficult to get started? Ironically, I'm mentoring a guy right now in the US that I think he's in New York. Yes, he's in New York, that is trying to start his own mentoring practice, his own business of mentoring. And so, we're having a conversation about paid versus not paid and all sorts of different things. But what I'm trying to get him to do is to volunteer his time to start to build up his credibility, to be able to start to get the experience that he needs in order to be an effective mentor. And so for all of us, for all your listeners, you too can be a good mentor with or without the training. But think of it from this perspective. If you want to give a deeper, richer mentoring experience to somebody, then get some sort of training of some sort.
Excellent advice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and telling everyone about your journey and what an amazing experience it is to be a mentor. And maybe hopefully between the two of us, we've inspired someone to pick up the book and to take up that torch of being someone's mentor, because it really can make a difference in someone's life. Big time.
Big time.
So
Yeah.
it's a very powerful thing that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on more exciting content. And everyone out there, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.